So what are we talking about today, Kristin?
Mhm. So I had two phone calls today, and it hit me somewhere along the second phone call. Um, Scarcity mindset
Mm,
and how that can be kind of this silent thing that we have running in our brain that can stop us from doing the things that are going to help us grow. How do we
mm.
get out of that?
Well, give me an example.
Like, well, I was in particular talking to people about, coaching or taking the next step with certain things, and I get it. It's like, well, I'm so busy right now because I have this one deal. And if this one deal falls through, I'm spending all my effort, energy, and time on this one deal.
Okay.
Or I've heard people say like well, I typically make this many basis points, but right now I'm only doing this many basis points.
Because I got to discount my prices,
And I
otherwise
just
I won't have any
right,
loans.
right. Hmm.
Okay. So, well, we all know they only have that one deal that they're working on because they're spending all their time on that one deal and they're not spending their time prospecting.
Right,
And so
right.
that's really a self-fulfilling prophecy
Hmm.
that that I'm slow because I'm not doing the activity. Or I see I see it happen. Same thing on referral partners that
Yeah.
I hardly get anything from this agent, but it's the only one I got, and so I got to keep working it. And but yet, I've only gotten one deal from them so far in the last 4 months or 5 months.
Yep.
Uh, but I got to keep working the relationship because it's the only one I got. And the
I think
problem is,
sometimes, yeah, we find ourselves in the scarcity mindset, but we don't even realize it.
well, in that case, probably the scarcity mindset is reality that they
Hmm.
do only have one. And really what the issue is, maybe not so much a scarcity in that case, it's lack of prospecting.
Mm.
Cause like the reason why I'm working on that one deal for 16 hours trying to get it to go is because I don't have another one, and I don't have another one because I'm not prospecting. And so
Yeah,
the real solution to scarcity is time prospecting, right?
yeah.
That really just kind of solves that problem. And the reason why I can't, like, you talk about investing, that's like a truck driver getting paid to deliver uh his supplies, and he goes, yeah, but I can't do that because I can't afford to buy the gas to put in the
Hmm.
truck to get the supplies so I get my paycheck. And or that type of scarcity, it's just a lack of action. Like
Yeah.
the reason why you can't afford it is because you're not doing it, right? If
Right.
you
So we start making bad decisions like every day, like saying yes to every deal, outpricing ourselves out of like fear of losing it. Then
Yeah.
we're holding on to referral partners who aren't qualified.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's that thing of, hey, I never lose a deal to pricing, then you're probably selling yourself too cheap. Now, I'm not saying to gouge people, right? I don't believe in doing that. I believe in being very fair, but in addition to being fair to the customer, I think it's important that you're fair to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not talking about gouging here, right? Nobody's for that.
No, of
But
course not.
yeah, if you don't look, if the Honda dealership never loses a deal, they're selling their cars too cheap,
Hmm.
right? Their profit margin isn't what it needs to be to run a healthy business. And so I think a big thing about the scarcity thing is believing in oneself. Like in the case that were you talking about, where hey, I don't want to invest into a program. That's a lack of belief in self. So they don't believe for a second that they don't believe in you, Kristin, because everybody sees your results. They see, the literally hundreds, or at this point in your career, maybe thousands for sure, thousands that you've spoken to and helped, right? Nobody can deny that part. See, the real denial is, am I going to do what you suggest for me to get the results that I know I'll get if I follow your plan because I
Hmm.
see everybody else getting it? And it's that lack of belief in self. Well, what if I do it and I don't get the results? What then? And even though, yeah, but it works on as we always say, it only always works.
Yeah.
So it's just, the real question is, will I do what it takes to get the results. Um, I don't know. What do you think? Am I totally off base here?
No, you're not. I mean, I think it's like, how do you shift your thinking from what if I lose to what could I gain?
Mm,
I've heard you talk before too, and I think it's such a great perspective about the COI.
explain that.
Oh, I'd rather you explain it. The cost of inactivity or inaction.
Yeah.
I learned that from you, and I think for me it was a different way to look at it. So you know, instead of what is it costing me to do this, it's hey, what am I costing myself, or what am I missing out on by not doing this?
So I remember early in our business. So Maria's always been the one to do the checkbook, like
Mhm.
always. Like since I think
Smart lady.
smart lady and smart man to follow the direction that she's better at that than I am, right? And so I remember when we were just getting started and things were really starting to crank up. She came to me and she said, "Carl, our copier bill is off the charts."
Like
Well,
Xerox copier type of thing.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
our copier and printer.
yeah,
Like
right.
we back then we were paying per page, and she said it's just it's gone crazy. Well, that's because
Mhm.
we're printing closing docs,
Oh,
right? So in essence, we were printing
printing money.
checks. Yeah, we're printing
Yeah,
money. And I said, honey, and that's what I told her. I said, honey, the reason why is we're and she didn't know, right? She didn't know because
yeah.
that's not her part of the business, right? And I said, so I let her know. I said, well, honey, the reason why is we're printing up all these closing docs, and that when people sign them, then we get our that's when we get our check. And I said, imagine what would happen. I said, I could save easily $500 worth of our printer bill if we just stopped printing all the checks. Right. And of course, I was being, a little bit of snark,
Joking.
like,
Yeah.
kind of, or not, I wouldn't do that to Maria, but you know what I mean? Just poking fun at her a little bit. And, but yeah. So if you want to save $500, you can do that. If you want to make $50,000 for the month, you can do that too. I just don't know if you can do both at the same time. And so you just have to kind of pick. Are you trying to save $500? I'm probably not the best person to help you with that. There's other people that probably help you better than that. If you're wanting to make $50,000 for the month, that's what we teach people how to do, or and plus that, So yeah, so I think a big piece of it of the scarcity is just to do the activity that produces the results, and it takes away the scarcity. And if I yeah, but I got to save this one deal because I only have one agent. You already have a bigger problem.
Yeah,
The bigger problem isn't that one agent or losing that agent. The bigger problem is you've only got one. That's what we
yeah.
need to fix. And when you fix that part, the scarcity thing goes away. I'll never forget um, my dear friend Perry Belcher, which I know I've mentioned here 100 times. Right?
I've met Terry.
I love
He's fun.
Perry.
He's so fun.
He is. He's a really good person. I remember one time, this is probably 15 years ago or so. I don't remember what, but I remember the amount. So the amount was $5,000. And what I was debating writing the check for, I don't remember. But I do remember him and I were at the same place, same time. And I was looking for his advice. So I told him what I was doing, and it's $5,000. He literally grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me like a nun to a 5 year an 8 year old student,
Uh-huh.
and he said, Carl, stop thinking like a poor person.
Oh,
Stop thinking like a poor person. But see, that's what I came from.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. And so thinking like a poor person came natural to me.
Yeah.
Thinking out of abundance or thinking like a rich person or wealthy or whatever word you want to put there uh, didn't come natural to me. Even if I was cashing pretty good checks by that time. Yeah, stop thinking like a poor person. So I often hear Perry in my ear when I'm thinking about trying something. Um, Hell, if I could be so bold, Kristen, that'd be like when we were blessed to have you come join the team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I didn't know if it was going to work out, right? I didn't know. I didn't know. Hell, you probably didn't either. You knew you were going to work out. You didn't know if I was going to work out, right? No, really. That's how it works,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so had I went, well, and frankly, the person that you replaced, it wasn't working out, right? What
Hmm.
otherwise, you wouldn't need somebody. And it happens, right? For whatever reason. And so if the thought would have been, well, the last person didn't work out, so no need to hire somebody, I'd have missed out on just a marvelous, not just a personal experience, right? But on a wonderful business experience too. And all the people that you've helped and the benefit you've made just being transparent to the company, not just me personally, but to the company, not just to the loan officers, which has been tens of thousands at this point, but to the
Hmm.
company. If I had not taken that risk, man, that would have been a tragedy. I don't want to think about it, right?
Me neither.
The what that would have cost,
Yeah.
which is what you're talking about, the cost of lost opportunity.
Hmm.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next. And or the cost of indecision that if I would have decided, well, we better hunker down right now, it might get kind of
Yeah.
tough. God almighty, that would have cost me untold of amount of money.
I see this. You're a perfect example of this, but I see this in people who are very successful. They have that ability to make decisions out of abundance versus holding off on decisions out of fear. There's a very distinct difference there.
You know what I think it really comes from is I think often it comes with uh people don't want to feel stupid. People people
Mhm.
don't want to people don't want to risk looking stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to do something and then it's not going to work out and everybody's going to laugh at me. Number one, nobody ever laughs at you. Like when I make my biggest blunders, and I've made more than a couple, I don't think anybody laughs at me personally. Hell, they don't care, right? It's not that they don't care, that they got their own thing going on. They got their own stub toe and their own blunders, right? We all do, right? I don't care who you are. You look at a great like I'll do political here for a second, even though it's against my rule. You take Elon Musk,
Yeah. Whether you like them or not.
whether you
I
like him or
mean,
not. I
amazing.
mean,
Yeah.
the amount that the last few months have cost him. And I'm not saying I agree with that it should have cost him, and I'm not saying I disagree, right? I'll say neutral on that point. But people are afraid of looking stupid.
Hmm.
And the one thing I found about Elon is he is not afraid of what people think about him, right? And that has made him literally the richest man on earth, to my understanding, right? I think so. And we have to risk looking stupid because nobody's going to think you're stupid. You're going to have your blunders.
Hmm.
Even I don't care who you are, right? Well, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Bezos, like everybody has their blunders, and
Yeah.
nobody sits and laughs at them because they think I don't know where all that comes from. I think we're also narcissistic. We think everybody's always thinking about us, and not nobody, like you know, your mom cares, I guess, but nobody's, it's not that they don't care. It's just that they got bigger things to think of.
Hmm.
And so we have to risk looking stupid, understanding that nobody's going to think you're stupid. Like it just doesn't matter. And if you stub your toe, hell, just put a band-aid on it. You'll limp for a little bit, but you're not going to die. We're not jumping out of airplanes here,
Yeah.
right? We're just making sales calls. So I don't know, whatever.
What's the decision that you're holding back on due to fear that if you made a decision based on abundance would be different?
Mm. And then acted the way abundant people act.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't just write the check and then not do anything and think that it magically all this good stuff's going to happen to me just because I wrote the check. So no, now you have to you have to walk the walk too.
So you mean that Peloton that's sitting in my basement? It's not going to work just sitting there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, Well, you look awesome, so I don't think,
Aw.
so that we need to find a better example of somebody that's not doing well.
I
So,
always think of that, but
but
I don't know why that's my
yeah,
example. It's my go-to.
you ever do your do you ever do your Peloton?
Not as much as I should. I'm very sporadic with it. But when I bought it, it was gonna, that was I was gonna write that check, but like sitting down there, it's not gonna do anything. It's just sitting down there. But if I get on it, it makes a difference for sure.
So I've got one too. It's a funny thing. So the mornings that I don't feel like going for a bike ride,
Hmm.
which is sometimes, right? Sometimes I don't feel like it. But I go every morning. But I made a rule to myself, all right, Carl, you don't have to ride your bike, which takes me, my morning ride takes me about an hour and 30, 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, like if it's raining outside, then I ride the Peloton for 30 minutes.
Oh,
Well, I can tell you that that 30 minutes on that Peloton is hard as crap. It's
it's,
really,
I gotta ask, do you have a favorite instructor?
I don't do the instructors. I do the journeys.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I do the journeys because I like traveling, so especially if like I'll ride down a place like one of the journeys that I've been on, like in person,
In
and
real life. Yeah.
yeah, and that's actually kind of cool, So but I tell you, so I'll tell myself, all right, well, you don't have to ride an hour and a half this morning, but then you got to do the telephone the Peloton for 30 minutes. Okay,
Let
I'll
me
go
get on
ride
the
a
bike.
real hour and a half because that's easier than 30 minutes on the Peloton for some reason. So
It's a workout.
it is a workout, that's for sure. So anyway, so scarcity. So
Mhm.
what's our closing thought on this one?
Well, I think that is a closing thought. What's one decision you're delaying because of fear, and what would it look like to make that decision from a place of abundance instead? It's
Hmm.
switching that from what if I lose to what could I gain?
Or even what likely would I gain if I
Mm,
actually did this?
hmm.
Right? No promises in life, right? Our next breath isn't promised. But
Yeah.
what likely will wake up tomorrow morning. And
Hmm.
likely if I do the exact same activity that Terry Ward, I talked to him earlier today. I think he was 16 for the month.
Mm,
If I do the same activity as Terry, I'm gonna what's likely going to be this what's likely going to be the result. If I walk in this direction for 3 hours, just like Terry,
hmm.
likely I'm going to be at the same place Terry's at 3 hours later. Right.
Or a hell of a different place than I am now.
Or yeah, that's for sure. So, all
Mhm.
right, cool. Good topic.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl.
I like these pondering thoughts that we have.
We do this back and forth, don't we?
Yeah. So is there anything scarcity minded? I was trying to think of an example. Is there anything scarcity minded like you fall yourself falling into sometimes?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I have to pull myself out of that scarcity mindset of again, what it comes from. I think it comes from operating from a place of little. That now I have to kind of refocus my thinking, different decisions.
Hey, you may throw in a completely different topic for 3 minutes.
Sure.
So I was listening to a podcast today, and boy, I really liked what this guy said.
Who was it?
I just started listening to him, and he's actually a financial
Mm,
podcaster. Very interesting guy. And I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'll text you later. Can't remember his name. I'd look it up, but we're short
yeah.
on time. Anyway, he was talking about, so he's a social media influencer on the topic of finances. Good stuff. And he said back here a couple months ago, I guess TikTok was down for a couple days here in the
It
US,
was.
but
Hmm.
they're still trying to figure out things. And he said a lot of his cohorts in the influencer area were freaking out. And he said
Mm.
they had a good reason to because their platform was shut down and they had one platform. And he said the problem with doing that is you're building your house on somebody else's land.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Isn't that the truth? I've
You
never
know
heard
what
of
people,
it that
you know
way.
when you know what this makes me think of in mortgage?
Tell me.
When people have their entire database in the company's CRM.
Mm, I hear
Mhm.
that. And I get the compliance thing. Hey, do whatever's
Yeah, I
compliant.
get it. I get it. But like,
But as long as it's not in my contract not to,
hmm
I want to have my database in another, in addition to that, in another location, being compliant and not going out of contract, of course.
of
But yeah,
course.
you do not want to build a house on somebody else's land. That's so what he was saying in this case, it kind of went back to the octopus method that you and I
Yep.
teach. You know, that you want to be doing social media
Yep.
and you want to be doing classes at the Realtors Association and you want to be doing the daily success plan and you want to be doing these activities that if something happens to one, you're still good to go. Like if I've just got one real estate association that I speak at, and then one of them's son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws or whatever gets in the lending business of the director of the association, I'm out. Right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. So you want to make sure, which goes back to the scarcity thing. You want to make sure you're acting abundantly so that we don't have to react with scarcity. Yeah,
Or Carl,
scarcity.
I've got like one real estate agent who sends me like all their business, but that's the only one I have.
Or I was just talking to somebody the other day who's doing well, and uh, this lady gets most of her business. I think it was like 70% from one real estate office. And boy, when that's the case, boy, we're just one person's decision that we got a real
Yes.
problem.
Mhm.
So yeah. Yeah. If you've only got one grocery store in town and that grocery store closes, you got a problem. So live in a town that has two, right? Live in a town that has two. Anyway. All right. I see we're up here on time and I didn't mean to get off on another topic like that, but
That's
I've
okay.
been thinking about that all day. Don't build your house on somebody else's land.
Hmm.
That's there's some wisdom there, like diversify. If you're going to do that, I think it's okay perhaps build more than one house on more than one piece of land,
Yeah.
which again goes away to abundance instead of scarcity minded. So I appreciate you, Kristen.
I appreciate you too, Carl. Thanks so much.